this is, I think, fascinating, and it's a little different from what we usually do. It's not acutely political. It's about DNA and my DNA. I had it tested, and yes, I am almost completely human. But I've always been fascinated about my background long term. I don't mean the last 3 or 4 generations, but where my family are from. It's always been a bit confused. There are rumors and some ugly, some less so. So we found out that at National Geographic, that they would test your DNA and tell you exactly where the family were from. I don't mean the street address, but broadly speaking. And the results came back, and we're going to chat about them now. Dr. Spencer Wells is Explorer in Residence. I love it. At National Geographic. Sounds rather Indiana Jones.
It is a great job title.
Oh, no,
it is a great job title.
You're in Washington, D.C. Thanks for joining us, and thank you for this, because I found it really compelling and fascinating to go through this.
Well, that's great. That's great. I'm glad you liked it.
Really. Now, just to explain to people, because I recommend that they do it. They send you a kit. It's very simple. You swab. It's rather like being arrested, I would think. I've never been. But you swab for a couple of minutes, and you put the end of the swab in these little containers, files, and you send them back. And I don't know, 6, 7 weeks later, your DNA it's anonymous, is on a site, and you can check it and so on. Now, Dr. Wells, this is what I find so incredibly interesting here. You didn't even know who I was. You knew nothing about me. I've always been told that my father's family, both of his parents were Jewish. That side was Jewish. On my mother's side, my mother's mother was Anglo-Saxon. Mother's father, not entirely sure. The results came back. It seems to me they say that on my paternal side, both of them go back to the Middle East. And on my mother's side, one is definitely Anglo-Saxon. The other one is sort of, it seemed to be sort of Asian or somewhere. So take me through this. What does it actually say about me and my heritage?
Okay, well, listen, let's start with your father's side. Okay, so I'm looking at your father's map now, that heat map. You're a member of haplogroup E, and so this is a particular clan, a paternal clan, if you will. And as you can see from the heat map, it's mostly found in the Middle East. So it's consistent with your father's side of the family being Jewish or Middle Eastern. Really? So you knew that.
And how specific in the Middle East? I mean, would it be ancient Israel, or could it be anywhere in the entire region?
Anywhere in that region that is colored in yellow. So if you can pull that up.
I see. Right.
Now, if you go into the Our Story section for your father's side, you're in the middle there, and those dots around you are other people who've taken the test and joined the project.
Right.
And the large dots have stories associated with them. So if you click on one of those stories, I'm looking at one right here, ethnic Turk from Bulgaria, ancestry for the last 2,000 years, all Turkish speaking from the region of Bulgaria. So again, consistent with that Southeastern European, Middle Eastern lineage.
So my father's side, now, I'm fair-skinned, as my father was. I'm bald, but I had red hair. My father had red hair. His mother had red hair. These are red-headed, pale-skinned people, but they spent thousands of years in the heart of the Middle East. How is that explained?
Exactly. Well, in terms of appearance, that can be created by a few genes. It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with your Y chromosome, but you are a mix. And if you look at your mother's side, for instance, look at her map, her migration map, and see where that's colored in on the map. That's consistent with that Northern or Western European ancestry. Right. So you truly are a mix.
Well, we always knew that. And on my mother's side, again, one grandparent we knew was Anglo-Saxon, and I had my family tree on her side traced back to about 1700, and they barely left their village in Essex in England. And there's about 25% or so that you can see comes from, I think, Germany up into England. So that will be Anglo-Saxon.
Exactly. So if you look at the Our Story for your mother, again, that circle with all the dots in it, I'm looking at a close dot to you in the center, your haplogroup H3. And this is a woman whose mother's side of the family came from France. So consistent, again, with that Western European ancestry.
So they lived in France for a while. Good Lord, that's a bit of a blow.
Sorry?
They were in France.
Well, let's look at the rest of your genome, that Who Am I section, where you get your percentages.
Yeah, because there's another 20-odd%, another quarter that said something Asia.
So yeah, you are 51% Mediterranean, 24% Northern European, 22% Southwest Asian, and 2% Oceanian, which is quite interesting. That would be people from Papua New Guinea, Australia, Polynesia. So do you have any ancestry on, from there?
No.
Do you know about that?
No, but I will be applying for a government grant, actually, before the end of the show. No, there's no, I mean, now that 2%, is that small enough to be a mistake, or is that definite?
Well, it could be a mistake. It's a very, very low percentage, but in all likelihood, you have some connection to that part of the world.
My golly.
So as the test improves, hopefully we'll be able to refine that a little bit more. Then we compare you to reference populations. So these are populations that we've genotyped, indigenous people from these particular locations. And the people you're closest to in the database are effectively a mix of German and Lebanese. So that's reflecting that mixed European, Middle Eastern ancestry.
My golly, there's a mixture of victim, guilt, it's all sorts of things going on. Will explain my character, really. Now, the 20, take that picture off. I told them not to, that's an old, they're putting a picture up, Doctor, which is extremely annoying. I think that was the German side. The 20-odd% that is Southwest Asian, did you say?
Yes.
No, that would be my mother's father. That's the sort of quarter we haven't taken account of. Now, he was an orphan.
Right. So these are putative ancestral populations, and every European is a mix of Mediterranean, Northern European, and Southwest Asian in some percentage.
I see.
And effectively, the higher the percentage of Northern European, the more likely you are to come from Northern Europe. If you're from Southern Europe, you have a higher percentage of Mediterranean.
Right.
And this is because of migrations over the last 10, 20, 30,000 years, how Europe has been settled, the spread of farming out of the Middle East, and so on. And so everybody has a certain mix of those percentages. Your particular mix points to you having Southern European or Middle Eastern ancestry, as well as that Western European ancestry.
Right. It is absolutely fascinating.
Then did you see the Neanderthal Denisovan, your hominid ancestry?
Yeah, that was a bit worrying, actually. I'm not sure if I've evolved or not.
Well, it turns out that all non-Africans are carrying a little bit of Neanderthal DNA in their genome. So Neanderthals were our cousins. They evolved in Africa, and they left about 500,000 years ago.
Wow.
And evolved into the Neanderthals out in Eurasia. And as humans, modern humans, were starting to leave Africa around 60 to 70,000 years ago. We encountered them, and it turns out we interbred with them to a small degree. So you're about 2% Neanderthal.
I can live with that.
How do you feel about that?
I'm sort of scratching myself a bit. I wish we had more time. It is quite fascinating and compelling. And I'll say this again. Everything I've always been told about my family, and it's all rather vague, and immigrant families sometimes can be like that, it seems to be borne out by what you've shown me. And I have to say this as well. Those people who, I don't want to make this political, but when they talk about Israel and Zionism and so on, and they say, well, fair-skinned Jews, they don't come from that region. Apparently, we do come from that region. Apparently, I don't know how, but we do.
There are genetic connections, definitely, and you can see it.
Amazing, amazing stuff. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Great to be here.